I would watch Ekta Tiger again if I want to laugh. But if I want to watch a serious movie, I would watch Dhurandhar.
Ekta Tiger, a raw agent falling in love with an ISI agent, a parkour romance in Cuba. 320 crore at the box office. Ravindra Kaushik, the Black Tiger, a man who erased his identity, infiltrated the Pakistani Army, and died abandoned in a foreign prison. Two very different stories, but the same code name.
क्योंकि उसमें टाइगर का जो टाइटल उन्होंने इस्तेमाल किया, इंडियन किसी स्पाई को ये टाइटल नहीं मिला है.
And what did Bollywood do with that name? They turned espionage into a globe-trotting fantasy. The storyline was so laughable that even former Raw chief Vikram Sood publicly criticized Bollywood spy films, including Ekta Tiger, for being highly unrealistic and inaccurate.
Then you have this story of the ISI girl and the RAW man living happily ever after. I mean, take a break.
But here's where it gets interesting. We now have a filmmaker named Aditya Dhar who gave us Dhurandhar.
पाकिस्तान का मुस्तकबिल अब हिंदुस्तान तय करेगा.
A spy film so gritty and unforgiving that it makes every other Bollywood spy movie look like a cartoon.
You're goddamn right.
Now there has been a lot of online speculation about how Ekta Tiger came to be, and honestly this video is not about investigating those origins. What I want to do is something different. I have never been a fan of Ekta Tiger, and after watching Dhurandhar again recently, it made me wonder, what if Aditya Dhar directed Ekta Tiger? Because if you look at Dhurandhar, a lot of elements match with Ravindra Kaushik's story, who was supposedly the first resident agent of India.
वो हिंदुस्तान के पहले रेजिडेंट एजेंट थे
जो जाकर वहां घर बसा,
डोमिसाइल्ड होता है, वहां जाकर रहता है, घर बसाता है.
हाँ.
एक सोशल नेटवर्क अपना बनाता है.
The character of Hamza, as well as many scenes in Dhurandhar, especially the torture scene in the climax, seem inspired by Kaushik's story. In fact, Rakesh Bedi's character in Uri the Surgical Strike, a high-ranking ISI officer working as an undercover raw agent, also has parallels to Kaushik's cover in Pakistan. So today, let's do something different by taking Dhurandhar as our lens and imagine what would Ekta Tiger have looked like if Aditya Dhar made it. The similarity between the title Ekta Tiger and Kaushik's Black Tiger moniker is impossible to ignore, especially since his family maintains that no other Indian agent was given that title. Whether it's a coincidence or inspiration, we will never get an official confirmation. So instead, let's understand what Ekta Tiger was, and if it was indeed inspired, how it differed from Ravindra Kaushik's story. In 2012, Yash Raj Films launched Ekta Tiger. Directed by Kabir Khan, Salman Khan plays Tiger, a raw agent named Manish Chandra, a writer in Dublin. His cover lasts a few weeks, not years. There is no identity death, no psychological collapse. Instead, you get a comedy scene where he charm bullies hotel guests out of their rooms.
तुम करते क्या हो?
मैं जासूस हूं, जेम्स बॉन्ड हूं तुम्हारी.
A romantic track is central to the plot. The Indian spy falls in love with a Pakistani ISI agent. The deep cover spy is not hiding in hostile territory under crushing psychological pressure. He is doing parkour in Cuba and Ireland. He's wearing designer clothes. Ekta Tiger is a globe-trotting Masala action movie, and it created a weirdly sympathetic pro-ISI narrative. The movie treats Raw and the ISI like two annoying corporate bosses keeping young lovers apart. Decades of geopolitical conflict are watered down into a simple Romeo and Juliet story. The Indian spy and the ISI agent run away together. They hide from their own governments to live happily ever after in romantic locations. Just think about how wild that is. This is a film about a raw agent, and the ISI, the very organization that has spent decades targeting India, is humanized and romanticized. That is honestly a massive insult to the actual spies who rot in foreign prisons because their agencies abandoned them. Spies who were brutally tortured by the very same intelligence apparatus that this film turned into a love interest. That's the film we got. 320 crore at the box office, a franchise that spawned 2 sequels, a parkour romance that took the codename Tiger and turned espionage into a globe-trotting fantasy. But what would an authentic spy film, one actually rooted in the realities of espionage, have explored instead? Let's run the experiment by using the real-life details of Ravindra Kaushik's life and imagine them through the kind of filmmaking Aditya Dhar has mastered.
You have to have entertainment which is fun and realistic.
Here is what an authentic Black Tiger film would have shown us. The film would not have opened in Iraq with an action set piece, but in a small theatre in Lucknow. A 21-year-old theatre artist from Rajasthan is performing a patriotic play. In the audience, 2 raw officers are seated who have been tracking him.
तो ऐसे लड़कों की बड़ी ज़रूरत थी कि जो जिनमें जज्बा हो देशभक्ति का. ये देशभक्ति की स्किट्स वगैरह लिखा करते थे, थिएटर करते थे, आर्टिस्ट थे.
Now notice the cinematic choice here. You're not starting with spectacle, you are starting with a question. What does it take to make an ordinary young man agree to erase himself?
क्या तुम्हें ऐसा मौका मिले रियल जिंदगी में भी कुछ देश के लिए कर सकते हो क्या? तो उन्होंने कहा हाँ मैं कर सकता हूँ अगर मुझे मौका मिले और मैं तो आर्मी में जाना चाहता हूँ.
The emotion isn't adrenaline, it's tension, quiet, creeping tension. A man saying yes to something he doesn't fully understand yet, and the audience knowing before he does what that yes will cost. This is where an authentic version would slow down entirely, and believe me, that's what makes it work. Ravindra Kaushik ceases to exist. In his place, Nabi Ahmed Shakir, a name taken from a child who died young, a real deceased identity procured by Raw. He studies law at Karachi University, he clears exams to join the Pakistani Army, he rises through the ranks over years until he's a major in the military accounts department. The cinematic tool here isn't a montage, it's a slow burn of identity death. The film would show you the psychological cost of being nobody, the isolation, the constant performance, the inability to tell anyone who you really are. And then the contrast. His family in India thinks he works at a fan company in Delhi. They think he's in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. They are sending him letters about daily life while he is running the most dangerous deep cover operation in Raw's history. The emotion this generates is dread, not fear, dread. The audience knows the truth is buried under years of lies and they are waiting for it to crack. Now here's where an authentic film would flip the genre expectation completely. In a wire of spy film, the hero's value is shown through action, chase sequences, hand-to-hand combat, and parkour. In an authentic version, the hero's value is shown through silence. But how do you film that? How do you make reading documents and memorizing troop movements cinematic? An authentic filmmaker would lean into the tension of the mundane. A man in a room, a document on a desk, the camera is on his face as he reads, the audience watches his eyes move across classified information, knowing that if he gets caught, he hangs. That's the cinematic tool, not cutting away to action, but forcing the audience to sit in silence with him. The emotion is unbearable stillness. The betrayal. This is where an authentic version would deliver its most devastating sequence, and it wouldn't be a gunfight. In 1983, Raw sent another operative, Inayat Masiha, to make contact with Kaushik. Here's a fatal detail. Inayat had seen Kaushik's photograph back in Delhi. He knew what the Black Tiger looked like. Inayat was caught in Lahore. He was tortured, and under interrogation, he broke. He identified Kaushik in a public park. One glance, one nod. The cinematic grammar here would be stripped down. No music swelling, no dramatic zooms. Just two men in a park. One man's eyes giving away the other man's life. After years of flawless tradecraft, a single operational error. The emotion is a gut punch. Not because something exploded, because everything was lost in a single, quiet, irreversible second. What came after, and this is the biggest difference, Ek Tha Tiger ends with the spy and the ISI agent on a world tour. Venice, Cape Town, Zurich. The audience leaves the theaters feeling good. That's the point of entertainment. An authentic version would leave you unable to speak when you left the theater. Kaushik's torture, the years in jail, the fight with tuberculosis, his request to his family to ask the Indian government to let him hang rather than leave him to rot.
एक्चुअली वो चाहते थे फांसी पे चढ़ जाएं वो. उनका एक खत है सर, देशवासियों के नाम एक खत, उन्होंने खुला खत लिखा हुआ है.
All these moments are heartbreaking. In 2001, at the age of 49, Ravindra Kaushik died in a Mianwali jail. And like how espionage works, no government can officially accept the existence of spies. The cinematic choice here is not the torture or the trauma in graphic detail, but showing the aftermath, the slow decay, the waiting, the emotion of abandonment. And an authentic version wouldn't end with Kaushik. It would end with the people he left behind. Because that's the story no one told. His family in India found out through a crumpled Indian letter smuggled out of a Pakistani prison. His father died of shock shortly after learning the truth. His mother spent the rest of her life waiting by the door. His sister and nephew spent decades petitioning the government. They are still fighting, and the detail that belongs in a film, his nephew staged a fake interview on a radio show called Mitti Ki Khushbu in Suratgarh, broadcasting coded messages so that Kaushik, listening from his prison cell, could hear news of his family, including the news that his father had died. That's not a screenwriter's invention. That happened, literally happened. Meanwhile, his Pakistani wife and son faced social boycotts, isolation, and a life of misery. One man, two families, two countries, all destroyed. That's the story an authentic film would have told. But the story is only half the equation. The other half is how you execute it. And Aditya Dhar has a very specific filmmaking language. So let's break down exactly how he would have shot this, split across 4 pillars. Pillar 1, the narrative. Aditya Dhar's storytelling does not try to please everyone. He builds a fiercely unapologetic pro-India narrative and commits to it with full conviction and the right intent. Now notice what that actually means on screen. In his films, the enemies are ruthless and the Indian operatives, they are not superheroes. They are men and women fighting for the actual survival of their nation. The ISI officer isn't charming, the bad guy isn't misunderstood. These are clear, credible threats, and Dhar treats his raw operatives with the respect and gravity they actually deserve. Real intelligence work is not a diplomatic exercise. It's dirty, it's morally complicated, and it certainly doesn't involve falling in love with the enemy agent. And Aditya Dhar understands this at a mission-centric level. Pillar 2. World building. Most films treat foreign locations like postcards. Beautiful establishing shots, saturated colors, tourism department lighting. You feel like you could book a holiday there. Aditya Dhar treats locations completely differently. In his films, hostile territory actually feels hostile. The environment itself is a constant threat. You feel the dust in the air, you see the sweat on the actors' faces. The lighting is harsh and unforgiving. You do not feel like you are looking at a movie set. You feel like you are looking at a dangerous place where a person could actually die at any moment. Pay attention to how he shoots Layari in Dhurandhar. The streets are not exotic, they are claustrophobic. Every corner could have eyes. Every marketplace is a potential trap. The city itself is an antagonist, and that's exactly what it should feel like when your protagonist is a deep cover operative living behind enemy lines. Think about what that means for Ravindra Kaushik's story. The man spent years in Pakistan, rising to the rank of major, knowing that one wrong look, one slip of the tongue in Urdu, and he would be hanging from a ceiling in an ISI safe house. That is the environment Aditya Dhar would have built. A Pakistan that watches you back. Pillar 3. Action. Aditya Dhar builds his action around actual tactical protocols. The violence in his films does not look cool, it looks desperate and incredibly messy. In Uri the Surgical Strike, when the operatives breach a room, you see the fear, you see people running out of bullets, you see soldiers getting tired and making mistakes. The combat mirrors real military operations where nothing goes perfectly and survival is not guaranteed. If Aditya Dhar had directed a sequence of Kaushik's life undercover, imagine the camera during a moment of suspicion. It's handheld, tight on the actor's face, nervous, not shaky in that cheap found footage way, but nervous in a controlled, deliberate way that makes you feel the suffocating pressure of living in a place where everyone wants to kill you. The action is about raw survival, not about looking heroic, not about slow motion walks, not about defying gravity. It's about what happens when a man with no backup, no extraction plan, and no safety net has to decide in half a second, and that decision could be the difference between completing the mission and a shallow grave. Pillar 4. Character. The Dhar protagonist carries the immense, crushing weight of the job. You see the emotional damage in their eyes, not through dialogue or exposition, but in how the actor holds silence. In Uri the Surgical Strike, Vicky Kaushal's character isn't haunted because the script tells us he is. He's haunted because you can see it. The stakes are completely different from what most audiences are used to. These are not immortal demigods who walk away from explosions without a scratch and forget about the bodies they left behind by the next scene. Dhar's operatives do not carry deep psychological flaws, they are the psychological flaw. Because here's the grim and heavy reality of intelligence work that Aditya Dhar refuses to sanitize. Innocent people die and governments lie to cover it up. Spies lose their minds and their families. The collateral damage is not just physical, it's emotional, it's psychological, it's generational. And Aditya Dhar shows all of it. Now think about Ravindra Kaushik again, a man who spent 16 years in a Pakistani prison, tuberculosis eating his lungs, abandoned by the very government he served. And tell me that is not an Aditya Dhar protagonist. A man whose family wrote letters that were never delivered. A man who died at 49 knowing that the country he gave everything for had moved on without him. That silence, that weight, that brutal, unglamorous sacrifice, that is what Aditya Dhar's camera was built to capture. So when you put all these 4 pillars together, unapologetic narrative, hostile world building, desperate action, crushing psychological weight, you get something that doesn't just tell Kaushik's story. You get something that makes you feel what 16 years of solitary confinement in a foreign prison actually means. Not a single parkour sequence, not one flashy dance number, just a man, a mission, and a country that forgot him, shot with the honesty the story always deserved. That is my take on Aditya Dhar's filmmaking language and what it would have meant for the story of Ravindra Kaushik. But hey, these are just my theories and I want to hear from you guys. If Dhar had made Ek Tha Tiger, what do you think it would have looked like? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe and press the bell icon and check out our reaction video of the Bandar trailer right here. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.